Hey guys, it's gonna be probably a short video here, but today is 7 days since Forrest was born sleeping. On the appointment, like I had updated in a previous video, the midwife didn't hear a heartbeat, and when I saw him on her screen, like I pretty much knew, but I also held out hope that when I went to the ultrasound place that, I would be told that I was being ridiculous or overcautious or whatever. But when we got there, the ultrasound tech obviously confirmed that he did not have a beating heart. So we went straight to Pomona Valley Hospital, where they did another really in-depth ultrasound, and it was determined there was no cardiac activity. So they did say it was a fetal demise, and I was 21 weeks that day, the day I was induced. I had Cytotec, and I chose not to have an epidural. I was offered one, but I didn't take it. So I had just the Cytotec. We didn't do Pitocin. And after 16 hours, he was born at 9:35 a.m. on September 3rd, and he weighed 3.4 ounces. We don't know a length because they didn't measure him. My placenta was taken for testing, and the OBGYN that attended the hospital birth, since I do have a midwife, but there was an OB that attended this delivery in the hospital. He will get the results within 2 weeks. Today, Forrest was cremated, and I should have his remains sometime next week, and his urn is supposed to arrive sometime next week. And then we ordered some cremation jewelry. Right now, it's obviously like a flood of emotions. I go from crying to being fine to crying to being fine, and then I just keep up with my daily activities and being with my kids that are here. But it's really, really hard, especially when there's several people that I knew, past and present, that were due right when I was due. So it's going to be a tough one watching other people go through pregnancies, which also brings me to another point that's affected me as well, which is watching some people get a rise out of saying they're having difficulties in pregnancy, or saying almost losses and stuff, when no. And here I am actually having gone through a stillbirth. It's actually quite upsetting to see some pregnant women using their situation for attention, or who knows why they would act like something detrimental is happening, but that really bothers me. We set up a whole wall of remembrance, which I can show, but this is his wall, and this has got his name and everything in his little prints. And this was the last thing we got of his heartbeat, and the honey pot I had made him for his nursery and stuff. So anyways, it's been emotional. Even though I was 21 weeks, when he was measured on the in-depth ultrasound at the hospital, they were measuring him at 16. But when he was born, he looks developmentally like he was actually 17. And I know for a fact the last time I heard his heartbeat, I was actually 16.5 at my last midwife appointment, where we did find his heartbeat. So, and then the other thing is he looked very, very good. when he was born, as morbid as that may sound to some people, when a baby has passed in your womb, they actually do start to deteriorate inside of your body a little bit. And when he was born, he didn't look like he had much of that at all. So we're also considering maybe he stopped growing, but passed closer to the 21 weeks. In my explorations, I sometimes, when I looked up, like, you know, the fact that I was dealing with the really bad anemia and stuff, what I kind of tend to wonder is if it was the infant growth restriction. But obviously I can't make huge assumptions or anything, because that could be far from what it is. When we get the placenta testing back, I'm hoping I get answers. But honestly, it's a really sad fact that a high percentage of people with stillbirth loss do not ever get answers. And I also opted not to have him get an autopsy because it just didn't sit well with me to think of my baby going through that. One of the things that I don't think people talk about very often that I didn't expect was to feel like treating him as if he was 100% alive. Even like when he was in the hospital room with us, we chose to spend a whole 24 plus hours with him in the hospital, which they let you do. They don't make you leave until you're ready. But it was like cover him because he might be cold, or keep him in the cot next to the bed because I want him near me and I want him to not feel alone. And we're obviously not stupid. We know that he's gone, but we treated him as if he wasn't. I still have moments where I feel like maybe I'm not grieving enough, or that it's still so surreal that I just don't, like, I'm not processing, maybe. Sometimes I self-blame, and it's rough. And I'm really thankful for the people that have reached out to me and talked with me. I've even had several people that are friendships from the past that I haven't spoke to in years reach out to me to give me condolences and talk with me, and that meant a lot, especially knowing that we've done that for some of our past friendships and reached out to people when they've had loved ones die. So for it to have occurred for me was a blessing. I think that what helps us too with our pain is that we know God. And we know that, you know, that wasn't the end. I think people that don't know God and think that that's like the final thing, that it's harder to process. Whereas we know that one day we're going to pass on and we will be reunited because God has my little one. You know, it wasn't just his final day. Like he's elsewhere now, where he's loved and he's never felt pain. He's never felt anything but love, which is great for me. Speaking of that, just brought something else to my mind that I forgot to talk about. When my water had broken before he was born, there was meconium, and they said they think that was the stress of what might have made him pass, but we don't have answers on that either, obviously. But I will say, like, having a 16-hour labor and labor pain, and delivering a child that you don't ever get to see breathing or talk, like, just walking out of the hospital, even. You're not rolled out on a wheelchair, you know, you're walking out, and it's something I wouldn't wish on anybody. It's it's still just really surreal to me. I think it'll be even more real once we get his urn and his ashes and everything else. I know Corey and I have gotten a lot. I mean, we were close. Obviously, we were 6 years together. But through this has brought us extremely close. He's been my absolute rock through everything. Every time, you know, I tell him I just need a hug or I need to cry on your shoulder real quick, he's always quickly been there. The kids are handling it okay, although my 4-year-old has asked like 3 times, when's the baby coming home and where's the baby? And we try to explain about him being in heaven and stuff, but obviously, like, you know, my kids haven't experienced a loss before, so it's kind of a new concept. Oliver's really cute when he sees the baby's picture in the memorial box. He goes, "Baby," and I got a cute picture of them two looking at his memory box, so that was really beautiful. And then recently I decided to make more of the pictures of Forrest private. Obviously I've only shared like a couple on my Facebook, one being edited even, because I don't know why, but some people are just so taboo about it. But I'm also afraid of people stealing them, because I found out that there are people that take the photos and then pretend to be lost moms. I didn't even know that was a thing until I joined the group that I'm in. The group that I found is like they have several requirements, and one is like that you can't have just gone through a miscarriage. Like you have to have had a loss from 20 weeks on, and it'd be a stillborn or an infant. And so that group's intense. I will say that there's women that lose their babies in labor, you know, 39, 40, 38 weeks. Like it's unimaginable. In that group, we don't weigh against each other's pain, but we do kind of acknowledge that a stillbirth is it's just a whole nother pain, and it's a whole nother realm compared to early loss. It's still surreal to me, like the whole hospital stay. I'm hoping at one point to make like a full video really telling the entire labor story, but I want to wait till maybe it's not super raw, because it's hard for me to not cry a lot, and I don't want to cry in a bunch of these videos. So there's that. But we really want to thank everyone for reaching out to us, and for anyone that had donated to his cremation fund. We are beyond grateful for that, because it paid for the entire thing. It was really hard for me to switch from a burial to a cremation. I really, really wanted to bury my son, but unfortunately, $4,000 is just, it's atrocious. Even talking to my grandma, like, it is just sick what they're charging and what they charge for. Like, when you really see the itemization, it's insane. Like, I think the actual cremation of my son was like $130, and they charged me $75 just to transfer him from the hospital to the funeral home, and then like $400 something just for their services. And I'm not saying that they haven't been amazing, because they have been amazing. So I want to clarify that. Like, it's not anything on them, but it's just, for what? You know? It's just insane. So, yeah, we paid over $600 something for this, and without your donations, coming up with funds to bury your child while trying to grieve the loss of a child is just a phenomenal weight, and you guys helped remove that, and that's been just incredible. And I'm just so grateful for people reaching out. I've definitely needed the support, and anyways, hopefully I'll be able to update another time or something. But we are obviously going to try again. They said about 2 to 3 cycles. So about 2 to 3 months from now, we might try again. But it all depends on where Corey and I am emotionally, and if we're ready for that emotionally. But physically, they were saying like that's when. So we may or may not. I don't know. I also like want to make sure in my head I understand that, you know, I'm not replacing Forrest, and I would never replace him. I wanted him. I loved him. If I could put him back, I would. But that's not the way it works. And God called him home early for a reason. God always has a plan, even when it's not what we want or hard for us. There's always a reason. So, anyways, I hope everyone has a good week. And with that, I will end this. And I'll continue praying for people. And I ask for prayers for us as we just travel along this new road and this new life. It'll never be the same, but it'll get better with time. I know that. So, anyways, these boys, I'm telling you. I'll update you guys again soon. Say bye, guys.
Bye.
Say bye, Oliver. Now he wants to come say it. Come here. Yeah, can you say bye?
Say it. Bye.
Bye. Come here then.
Bye.
Say bye.
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 Then a pumpkin.
Little 1-year-old Oliver right here. He's a big guy.
Mom, I have a
He's a big guy. And then 4-year-old Zachary with his pumpkin and all his messy toys on the floor. Ooh, spooky.
I'm putting my head on it.
I see that.
Bye.
Bye.